Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Glory Moments here on day 4 of the 4th World Age Group Underwater Hockey Championships. Joining me as usual on the couch, commentator extraordinaire, and obviously come back from a tennis injury there with the headband and the broken leg this morning, Stuart Parkinson.
Yeah, I just got a little bit excited on the serve and volley action a few days ago, mate, but thank you very much for having me back on the couch today.
No worries. And on my right, we've brought some female influence to the couch, which I feel has been lacking. Emma jumped on last night and really gave us the ladies' perspective, and we've had Hannah on previously, but commentator extraordinaire and crowd favourite in the booth, Natalie Wickham.
Thanks for that rap there, Nick. Enjoying the gig. And I've heard Stu, isn't it Stu Federer Parkinson? Is that what they're calling you?
I don't know, Nat, but I reckon if you wore this headband, you would look like Bjorn Borg with that hairstyle you've got going on. So I reckon the next time you jump on the couch, I think you should give this headband a go.
Or maybe just a young Steffi Graf.
Okay, yeah, I'm liking it. And do you know what I heard on the radio the other day, Stu? You've got to pick up like Roger Federer. I'm loving that guy. He has a nanny for each of his 4 kids when he's on tour. 4 nannies. They stay at the Crown Casino. He has a whole floor to himself. I heard that's what you're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, well, isn't that why you broke your leg, Stu? So that when the Colombians arrive, you'd have 40 Colombian nannies here?
Look, if there's any nannies out there that want to give me their services for free, I will take it. I tell you what, and I know my wife, Catalina, will definitely be very happy to do that too.
Yeah, shout out to Cata there. So let's get into today's games. Game number 85, midday today. Men's under-19s, New Zealand versus France. That'll be a big game there, Stu.
It will be, as we've seen during this competition. Both teams playing similar styles. The French playing a lot more open than we've seen them play in the past. The Kiwis playing a really well-disciplined, clean but vigorous game. And I know both of those teams are going to want to assert their dominance on this game early up.
Yeah, and Nat, the Kiwis with a little bit to prove after getting knocked over by GB yesterday.
Yeah, Nick, many kickouts in that game. Did you notice?
Not in the New Zealand GB game, but certainly in the French games there's been a lot of kickouts. So last night on the Glory Days we were chatting about, I think, the French leading the under-19 men's with 16 minutes in the bin, 13 kickouts, but 2 players, taking 10 of those kickouts.
Oh, gee, in the naughty chair, and I'm sure he'll pay for that after the competition. The boys will give him a bit of a hard time about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Coach Paul Barrow comes up with there. Paul always one for wearing the elbow pad there in games back when he was a player. So whether his coaching has flowed across his playing into his own players.
He does like a little bit of an elbow pad on his elbow, and that does give him a little bit of extra protection as he throws that arm around. I do think it's on his non-playing arm as well, so kudos to Paul for protecting himself early. I don't know, I'm not sure what it is about those Frenchies, but maybe they just like the texture of those seats in the sin bin. Maybe they just love hanging out there, having a bit of a chat, having a bit of a chat to the refs.
They don't seem to like to go alone. I noticed that with the Turkish boys. One would go in, and his mates wanted to be there with him. So there was always 2 or 3.
It's like a whole pack of whales beaching themselves.
There's actually a couple of extra underwater shots kicking around at the moment, and some of those there's one particular with a young French under-19 boy doing some exceptional shepherding on the bottom there. So it's good to see those getting picked up. While we're on the photo topic, Stu, we've had a bit of a meme competition running. Obviously, the NZ underwater hockey memes love throwing their stuff out there, but I saw a particular one this morning, which I'll get my assistant to drop over the screen there. You've been a big fan of the beards, the chest hair, and indeed the dad bods, and the dad bod meme this morning coming out.
Look, mate, everyone loves a dad bod. I love a dad bod, and I think it's just a proof of how popular those dad bods are because, you know, social media and the people that have been watching this competition have just picked it up and they're running with it. And it's great to see the dad bod thing getting out there and people getting amongst it.
But the hair really does work. It works for everyone. And I think the more hair, the better. And if we don't mind a bit of topiary. I think if you've got a bit of chest hair happening, get the razor out, make a little bit of a statement, a little bit of design. It gives us something to get excited about.
And look, just a big shout out to Matt Hart and Steve Cars for getting me out of the spotlight because my cheeky confidence and arrogance had been played onto the meme, and that's managed to slip behind now with the dad bods and the beards really taking over.
Yeah, Matty has been getting a fair bit of attention. I wouldn't mind the attention just sort of sliding over to Steve Cars for maybe a couple of memes, you know. So if someone gets a little bit creative, got a couple of nice photos of Steve out there that they want to chuck up on Facebook, maybe a few cheeky little comments. That'd that'd keep the spice in this conversation going, I think.
And if you're going to do Steve Carr's, make sure you throw in a Border Collie. He loves his Border Collies.
He does love his Border Collies, that's true.
All right, well, fun facts that have nothing to do with the tournament. We should probably get back to what we're talking about.
I'd rather talk about knitting, Nick. I'm sure we can get to the knitting.
Shout out to Matty Hart and his NZ boys who are tracking really well in that men's 23 division. Next big game for me, Natalie, we go to the women's under-19. It's Colombia versus New Zealand today.
Excellent. The Colombians, they're fiery, Nick, my word. So who are they against? Colombians
so
against?
They're playing New Zealand. The Colombian coach, a new fresh coach there with Sergio. I think they've probably got a little bit to prove. They've had a bit of a slow start to the tournament.
Yeah, and the New Zealand girls will be tight. The Colombians will be tight. It's going to be a humdinger. I'm looking forward to either calling that game or watching it.
So then if we look at the men's 23s this afternoon, the two games for me that stand out there, we've got South Africa against GB, which should be a really tight fought battle. And then my boys actually playing the Colombians this afternoon, Stu, at 4:10 in game number 95.
Yeah, both those games are going to be good. South Africa, GB, always tight contest. They've had a lot of good hit-outs at the elite level over the past couple of Worlds. And the Australians and the Colombians, I know the Colombians are looking forward to trying to knock the Aussies off their perch. I know the Australians have had a little bit of a... not really a slow start, but an inconsistent start to this comp. So I know you lads will be looking to sort of put some consistency in the pool and as everyone builds towards finals. So it's going to be a good match to watch.
Yeah, I can ask you a question, Nick, about that game. The Colombians will want to go out hard and fast really early and get a score on the board. The Aussie boys, do they tend to, usually traditionally they tend to start off that little bit slower and then build the momentum? What's the plan for this afternoon?
Oh, look, we've had a bit of a varied comp in terms of our starting. It's just dependent on what the quality of the warm-up's been. When the boys have got a good warm-up together, they've started really well, and I think in the Turkish game especially they had a really strong start. But no, look, this afternoon it's just about us continuing our journey. I don't really think we're on much of a perch as a team to knock off at the moment. I certainly think New Zealand and Turkey really sitting the top of our draw currently. But no, look, we're building every game. And starting to get a bit of momentum behind us, so it's building confidence for the players, which is really good. The last game that I'd like to look at is the across the channel rivalry, Stu, the men's under-19 France versus GB this afternoon, which is going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, that will be good. There was a French GB game, I think, in the under-23s yesterday, and there was quite a few kickouts in that game, a lot of bodies getting thrown around, a lot of aggression in the pool. And I'm expecting to see something similar today against the under-19s or in the under-19 division. So that'll definitely be one to watch.
We love that rivalry, don't we? We've got the New Zealand-Australian competition going there. We're always fierce when we're up against each other. And the Great Brits and the French, same again. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, I think there's something about having two bits of land separated by a channel of water that obviously creates rivalry. But no, look, after GB knocking off the Kiwi under-19s tomorrow morning, I think they'll really be on a high. And the French obviously tracking really well, as we spoke about earlier. So speaking of dad bods, walking across the front here, ex-Australian elite player Nathan Whelan.
He's just putting on a show for the camera, really. Look at him. He's just sort of feigning a little bit of interest down the bottom there. But really what he wants to do is just get his bathers and his nice little beach towel in front of the camera. Look at the tape on the back of his ankles, ladies and gentlemen.
Sadly, I think he's just out of shot, Stu, but certainly for us, he's putting on a show. Nathan, if you could just parade across in front of the camera here for us for a second, just a little strut, just to give the audience what we've been talking about. Just a little walk across camera.
Just a little bit of display of what you got on offer today.
Look up, smile, wave for the fans at home.
He's a good sport. Well done, Nate.
All right, guys, we'll have a fantastic day of hockey. I look forward to hearing you guys in the booth, and thanks for tuning in to the Glory Moments.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on. Fantastic.
Thanks, everyone.